Hi, my name is Jessica Bernal, and this is my final video for EDUC 526. As far back as I can remember, I have always wanted to be a teacher. I chose to get my teaching credential and master's at APU because I'd always heard such great things about their program. I liked that it was a private university where I'd be getting that one-on-one interaction with my professors. I chose to get my master's in digital teaching and learning instead of education because I felt like it would help me become more marketable when looking for a job. I have learned so much through this program that I feel like I can be put into any classroom with technology and be able to incorporate it into a lesson. Throughout this program, I expected to learn different strategies and how to incorporate technology into the classroom. I also expected to learn about how technology could be used to reach all types of learners in the classroom. When first thinking of my growth as an educator through this program, it's kind of an overwhelming thought. I know that through both the master's and the teaching credential program, I have just grown exponentially. Through the credential program, I feel like I discovered what kind of teacher I want to be. I was lucky to have such a great student teaching experience. Starting this program, I will say that I was not very tech savvy. Through this program, I have had to step out of my comfort zone quite a bit and learn all new technology. I did have my MacBook before starting the program, but was not familiar with all the programs that was offered. It is interesting because now that I know of so many technologies, I use so many more in my lessons plans. I know which ones will fit in perfectly and can be used in a realistic classroom. Like I previously had said, I've always known that I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. This is my ideal job. I have gone to school through all of these years for this end result. I know that something like teaching will keep me happy forever. In 5 years, I hope to be teaching at a school that I love and collaborating with teachers whom I respect. I'm pretty open with the grade right now. That's why I hope to get to move around in my first couple of years to explore the right age group for me. I have grown so much as an educator while being at APU. My action research project, I have chosen to research the topic of running. A little background on why I chose this topic is that one of my goals for this year is to run a half marathon. This past year, I changed my life drastically by joining CrossFit and losing over 70 pounds. This year, I have decided to push myself a little further in my goals and I'm going to try and run a half marathon. Because of my obsessiveness with CrossFit, I don't like to take days off to train and run for this half marathon, even though I know it's what I need to be doing. My research for this project will be to find different strategies and how to train for a marathon and how to implement it into my workout routine, at least 3 to 4 times a week. I am hoping this will increase the amount of miles that I will be able to run. My problem statement for this project is, will running at least 3 to 4 times a week increase the amount of miles that I can run at one time? Daily reflections, I hope to find out what different running strategies will work best. I'm hoping to start off with 3 times a week and then towards the end push it to 4 times a week. I'm also curious to see if running in the morning or at night is when I will find better results. I'm also curious to see if my diet and the way I will eat will affect my running. Throughout this 6 weeks, I know that my running will see a drastic difference with keeping running consistently. I will say that my results are what I expected. I knew that if I made a point to run 3 to 4 times a week, my running would improve. As you can see with the chart, I started about a mile and a half, and was able to increase to 5 miles. I was also able to keep a 10 to 11 minute pace throughout the research. Before the action research project, I was probably only running about once or twice a week. I know that if I stick to a plan like this, I will be able to run the 13.1 miles by the end of this year. Through this study, I was able to learn a lot about my running style and habits. About 2 weeks into my research, I started a 30-day stroke paleo challenge. I know that gave me a lot more energy and definitely helped me be able to do both CrossFit and running. I also think that I will start running with more elevation. I know that the days I did just run flat, they fluctuated my time a little, but they also helped me build strength when going up the hills. I will definitely continue to follow this type of running regimen. I have never been a runner in my life, so being able to run 5 miles without stopping was pretty exciting for me. Another thing that I did learn through this research was that I definitely need to take more days off. Some weeks it was challenging and physically draining to do 6 days of CrossFit and 4 days of running. That was definitely a drawback for me. I honestly really enjoyed being able to do something personal for this type of action research. The best part for me was honestly the results. I like being able to push myself to just run a little bit further in distance and then actually being able to do it. What I learned from this experience is that I'm capable of doing things if I just set a schedule and really focus on it. I was able to make time for running in these 5 weeks, and I really hope that I'm able to keep up with it. The topic of my curricular unit is the solar system. Students will learn the similarities and differences of the different planets. This will help the students understand the importance of appreciating the planet we live on. Students will also begin to understand the big picture of where their little world, Earth, exists among a collection of numerous other planets. They will be able to see in scale just how small Earth is compared to the other planets and the Sun. They will also be using technology and other resources to help make a connection to the importance of our solar system. These are the standards that this curricular unit will be addressing. Through this unit, the 5th graders will be focusing on writing, converting different size measurement units, learning that the solar system does consist of planets, and students will be applying digital tools to gather, evaluate, and use information. Lesson 1 is that students will learn about the different characteristics of the planets through research and creating their own Google presentation. Students will begin this lesson by being shown a short video on planets through song. The students will then be placed in groups of about 3 or 4 students and will use various websites to research facts about the different planets. As students are researching, they will be using Google Docs as a journal to keep notes of their findings. Students will then put together a Google presentation with their group members on the information that they have found. Students will need to include pictures and music to their presentation. Students will lastly give an oral presentations to the rest of their classmates on the information they have found. The objective for Lesson 2 is that students will learn about the planets in more depth by listening to an audio tape of the book The Solar System by Rosalind Mist, and then will create their own podcast. Students will begin the lesson by listening to an audio tape and will then listen to an example of a podcast. As the students are listening to the audio tape, they will be keeping notes in their Google Doc. The students will then use GarageBand to record their own podcast using information that they already had from their online journal or what they have learned from the book The Solar System. The objective for Lesson 3 is that the students will be using the information they have learned the past 2 lessons and will create their own solar system game. Students will begin this lesson by going to shepherdsoftware.com and playing the astronomy game. The students will be seeing an example of a game type quiz. The students will then use their iPads to use the QuizCast app and create their own game about the planets. The students will then be able to play each other's games. The objective for this lesson is that students will be creating their own newspaper article. Students will use the information from their online journal, their Google Doc, and will put it into a formal outline using the Omni Outline app. This will help the students organize their notes. The students will then use their outline to create an article for a newspaper using Foti.com. The students will be responsible to compare and contrast the characteristics of the different planets. The learning objective for the last lesson of this unit is that students will be learning about the scale of the solar system and the planet's distance from the Sun. Students will begin by researching the distances of each planet from the Sun. The students will then have a worksheet that the students will need to create a scale of how many astronomical units to feet. The students will then do an activity outside where they will see the actual scale of the solar system and see just how small the Earth is compared to the rest of the solar system. Throughout this activity, the students will be taking pictures with their camera and then will put together an Animoto video to show their perspective of the solar system.